Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Introducing Bark in the Belly Premium Dog Food. 100% of profits go to help dogs in need.
Over 30% of adults struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
Welcome on in. A unique Wicked Boston show with Cam Stuart here on 365 Sports, live on YouTube as we are every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and then we're available wherever you get your podcasts as well. The Patriots lost the Super Bowl. Damn it. And it wasn't particularly close. In fact, people will rant and rave about how this was one of the worst Super Bowls to ever watch. It was one of the worst offensive performances. And yet, I'm sitting here thinking, I feel confident in where the Patriots are going. Still, after what we watched last night, I still feel confident that Drake Maye is their franchise quarterback of the future. still, and obviously the present to some extent. That Mike Vrabel is still the right guy to have in charge, that Josh McDaniels is still the correct OC. But obviously they did get exposed in that game last night. So we're going to talk about what went wrong, some of the few bright spots that I think Patriots fans can hang their hat on. We'll talk with Mike Debate of Sports Illustrated as we do every Monday. He'll talk about, where do the Patriots go from here? And then we have to have a really frank, open, and honest conversation about Will Campbell and his future as the left tackle of the Patriots. Notice I said, I think they've got their franchise quarterback, got their franchise cornerback who's going to get a lot of money. They've got their coach, but I do think we need to have a conversation about left tackle and who is protecting Drake Maye's blind side here, because it has not been good. But anyway, we got to postmortem this thing. The Patriots, a dream season, comes to an abrupt and pretty depressing end in Super Bowl 60. 29-13 is the final score. It wasn't really that close. There was a real concern the Patriots were going to be shut out in this Super Bowl, going to be the first team ever to be shut out in a Super Bowl. It didn't quite happen. They got a couple of touchdowns, a couple of Drake Maye touchdown passes, actually, one of them very odd looking. But however you slice this, however you look at this as a positive in some way as a Patriots fan, there is no way you could deny they got exposed in this game. And that's not exposed in the sense that, they should have never been here. It was always the schedule. No. They got exposed because they played a much better team that matched up better than them at pretty much every position. Okay? Including in this game, quarterback, slightly. Sam Darnold wasn't great, but Drake Maye was bad in this game. So any way you slice it, it was not a good night for the Patriots. It was a great night for the Patriots haters, for sure. It was the magnum opus for the Patriots haters this season to watch what happened in Santa Clara in Super Bowl 60. And, I've made some excuses for Drake Maye. I think he's earned some excuses in this postseason. The defenses he faced, the weather he had, the offensive line he had. And this was the toughest defense of them all. It was the worst the offensive line played. But Drake Maye had a bad game. Bad game in the Super Bowl. Right? At some points, it was catastrophic how bad it was. This was the guy who finished runner-up to the MVP. You were hoping the weather would get him right. And instead, you got 3 turnovers. That was really the difference in the game. And I'll say this. This does not absolve Drake Maye completely for the night that he had. But clearly, he was hurt. Again, that doesn't mean that that's the only reason here, okay? Because he played in the game, all right? He played in the Super Bowl. You take on whatever performance you have when you go out there and you play. But I don't know how you could watch that game on Sunday night and not say, there's clearly something wrong here. I think you saw it in his play. I think you saw it in the Patriots game plan. Right? Like the way that Josh McDaniels attacks this style of defense and the way that he has attacked Super Bowls are one and the same. And that is taking shots early in the game. Every game except the Rams one the second time where the Patriots just became a run the ball between the tackles with Sony Michel kind of team. Every other Super Bowl, they were taking shots early in the game. And that's what I thought for sure was coming for Drake Maye and the Patriots in this one. It never came. Not really, not till they were down 2 scores late in the game and in the second half. But he has a shoulder injury going into this one, and clearly that limited him physically and probably more so mentally on trying to push it, thinking about what he could physically do. It's clearly he was not 100%. 2 of the throws in the fourth quarter were 2 of the worst throws he's made all season. And then, I love you guys getting involved in the chat, but then this is what you're going to get after this. Sure, the Patriots could have had 3 first-round picks and gotten Bo Nix instead. Would that have been better? Like, the greatest thing to happen to Bo Nix is that he didn't play in the AFC Championship, because now everyone thinks he should have been the MVP. Drake Maye had a bad game in the Super Bowl. He got rocked. He was not good. You're not going to hear me say that. But this now revisionist history of, he was never good to begin with. That is such bullshit, man. Like, he was a legit MVP the whole year. And in 4 playoff games, he faces literally 4 of the top 5 defenses in the league. And now we're saying they should have had Bo Nix instead. That's not a colossal mistake. Like, you have your franchise quarterback. Was this game too big? Maybe, but maybe more importantly, the competition was too big. He's a 23-year-old playing in the Super Bowl, and he's going up against the Seattle Seahawks. And so that sounds like I'm giving him an excuse. It's really not meant to be that, because he still sucked in this game. But like let's not now pretend like he's not a good quarterback, like he's some bum, man. And I saw a bunch of that on the timeline last night. Like, oh no, he played his worst game in the Super Bowl. That means he should be a backup. Like, no, man, it just means he played his worst game in the Super Bowl. And I know history is against Drake Maye in terms of coming back and being a successful quarterback, going back and winning a Super Bowl. I know the odds are stacked up once you lose that first one. But he is still, like, he did show the entire league this season that he is among the elite. And he's just getting started. Like, I can't believe the railroading this kid is getting for his entire career. And this is his first season starting in the NFL. He's playing in the Super Bowl. Doesn't mean he was good in this game, but it certainly doesn't mean that he was a chump all season and that he's going to suck. I hate that. I hate that narrative that's coming out, and it's just going to be a bunch of people who watched football this week and decided that Drake Maye's not any good. A bunch of people who didn't watch the Patriots all year, who didn't watch Drake Maye all year, who all they did was tune into ESPN and hear Dan Orlovsky talk about the schedule, and then watch him play in the Super Bowl and decide that he's not a good quarterback. Imagine if we had done that with, say, I don't know, Sam Darnold. Like, literally on the other side, you're seeing a guy whose career was written off 3 different times winning the Super Bowl. So I get it. You want to say he had a bad game? How can I argue against that? You want to say the moment was too big for him? Okay, fine. I'll go with that too. But to say that he's not a good quarterback is insane to me. And to say that Bo Nix is better, that Caleb Williams is better, these other guys that were drafted alongside, it's like, okay, how many Super Bowls have those guys played in? How many of those guys have finished top 2 in the MVP voting? So, like, enough with that. Enough with that. But again, Drake stunk in this game last night. And there's all different kinds of things that factor into that, right? There's a bunch of different things you can point to for Drake Maye having an abysmal Super Bowl performance. You can look at the fact that he was not healthy and that it was the throwing shoulder and he got an injection before the game and that there were some throws that he just flat out missed that I think he probably makes if he's got 80% in that right shoulder. You can look at that. You can look at the offensive line he was playing behind and a left tackle who allowed more pressures than anybody in the history of a playoff game, according to Next Gen Stats. You could look at that, and it wasn't just the left side either. Morgan Moses got beat for a strip sack. That offensive line was terrible, terrible. And it hasn't been good, really, at any point this year. It was serviceable for most of the season, and the Patriots were getting away with it. But it was dreadful against an awesome pass rush, a just great overall defense from the Seattle Seahawks, and one that we will remember as an all-time great defense because of what they did in this game with everybody watching. You can attribute it to that. You can attribute it to the injury. You can also just say Drake Maye played one of, if not his worst game of the season. If it was the injury, if it was the pressure, it doesn't matter. He missed a lot of throws. And that's actually what kind of kept me weirdly confident in this game in the third quarter. Not confident like, oh yeah, we got him right where we want him, but confident in that, man, the Patriots can maybe move the ball here. Like Drake has just missed a couple of throws. It's not like everything is about the pressure. It's not like he's throwing the ball in harm's way and they're forcing a bunch of turnovers. He just was missing some throws. And so I was like, maybe if you get him into rhythm, it's going to come. And the rhythm never really came. Never really at all. He just, part of it was, you could tell he was frantic. He was sped up the whole game. He was the one seeing ghosts, ironically enough, in a game against Sam Darnold with the Patriots involved. It was Drake Maye who was seeing ghosts in this one. And he just never, ever settled into the game. And that's what's unfortunate. And that's what had him in tears talking to the media after the game last night, man. It's brutal to watch. Brutal to watch. The two things that stick out to me, really 2.5 things that stick out to me, where the game felt like it was just too far gone. And it was before the turnovers, the strip sack, the pick that was coming when they were moving the ball. It's before that. I look at, first off, the first drive of the second half, another 3 and out. Like one of my big, stock down guys in this game was Josh McDaniels. The game plan looked like keep it super conservative, hold on to the ball, wait for Seattle to make a mistake. That's what the game plan looked like. And Seattle never made that mistake. Never. Credit to Sam Darnold, guy who led the league in turnovers this year, didn't have a single turnover each of the last 2 weeks. He did not make that mistake. The Patriots defense was really close to one a couple of times, really close in that first quarter and in that first half. Marcus Jones almost had a pick six. Christian Gonzalez almost had a pick in the end zone. They had all kinds of pressure, forcing some errant throws. Like, they were really close to a game-changing pick or fumble. It just never came. And you can't have your offensive game plan be predicated around your defense forcing a turnover, even if your defense is this good. Because you can have a game like this where it just doesn't come, where the other quarterback does not play lights out, not by any stretch, completed 50% of his passes. He was almost as bad as Drake Maye was. But you never know if that turnover is going to come or not. In this case, it didn't. So I look at that first drive of the second half where, you're talking about 30-minute halftime, and Josh McDaniels is going to cook something up to get his quarterback in a rhythm, and they go 3 and out. And Seattle has the ball 58 seconds after halftime. That's a killer right there. A killer. And then you had 2 more in the third quarter. Marcus Jones gives you a punt return. You finally make a play, gets to the outside, gets to about the 50, maybe even Seattle's side of it. It's called back for a block in the back that didn't need to happen. Marcus had the angle, he had the corner, and you get the block in the back call, and all of a sudden this good return puts you in field position that's worse than if you just took a fair catch. It was moving backwards and then 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Like, that was a killer of a play, an absolute killer. And then another one in the third quarter, which is a drive that I'm going to be highlighting. Another 3 and out. I know, who would have thunk it? They got their first down, but I think the last play of the first quarter was their first down since the first quarter. But they had a drive in that third quarter where Travion Henderson ran a sweep and got 9 yards, went out of bounds, didn't take the extra hit to get a first down. Fine, you're 2nd and 1. You live to see another down. And then ran straight into his guard's ass right after that. Lost a couple, 3rd and 3, and then Drake missed a throw, had a comeback route, and just flat out missed a throw. And you're 3 and out again. I'm like, man, even when they get 9 yards on first down and they're not going to get a first down on this defense, that's where you kind of had an inkling that this game was over. Before the strip sack, before the pick, the way that was moving, you knew it wasn't your night. I feel like on the waterfront. Wasn't my night. What are you talking about? But it just wasn't. It just wasn't the night for this offense. They did not have a good enough game plan. They did not have enough composure. They did not make enough plays. It's flat out. And unfortunately, for us as Patriots fans, but also just having watched this game, people are going to talk about this is just the Patriots suck. The Patriots didn't deserve to be here. The Patriots are such a weak-ass team, this, that, and the other. When that does take away from Seattle played their ass off, man. Like, they just flat out kicked the Patriots' ass 10 ways to Sunday. They just beat the crap out of them. They owned the line of scrimmage, completely dominated it. And they had a good game plan. And they came after them all night long. The only player, well, two players I could highlight for the Patriots. Craig Woodson, rookie safety, was incredible in this game. In fact, the first half, I was like, if the Patriots pull this off, he might win the MVP. TFLs, 10 total tackles. I mean, the guy was just all over the place. But at one point, Collinsworth said this in the game, and it might have been true for the entire night. Christian Gonzalez might well have been the best player on the field last night, which is weird to say for a cornerback whose team lost by 2 touchdowns, but Christian Gonzalez might well have been the best player on the field in Super Bowl 60. And the acrobatic play he made, which would have been a deep ball, a big connection for Seattle. He makes that unreal play where he is just reaching out, full extension, flying through the air, and bats it away. Couple of passes deflected in this game. Could have had a pick at the goal line right before halftime, which would have been not necessarily a game changer, but would have taken 3 points off the board. It was a third down play. It would have taken 3 points off the board for Seattle. I almost said Arizona. I don't know why I almost. Oh, because I saw that tweet this morning about someone saying that Bo Nix would be the number 3 pick if they redrafted. Drake Maye would now be the 4th pick. Meanwhile, again, last week, if you had talked about a redraft of the 24 draft, Drake Maye would have been the number 1 pick. But after seeing what he does at the Super Bowl, he's now the number 4 pick. And you're picking Bo Nix over him. Yeah, okay. I got you. Sure. But Christian Gonzalez, man, give this guy his money. We're gonna talk about it at the later on this week with that Sauce Gardner contract, getting $30 million a year last summer. Christian Gonzalez is better than Sauce Gardner. He's gonna get probably $32 million a year. 22 coverage snaps last night, 2 targets, 2 forced incompletions. That is lockdown stuff. He was the best kept secret in the NFL. It's not going to be that way anymore as the Patriots will continue to play in big games. RG3, the Heisman Trophy winner from my alma mater, had a great tweet. Christian Gonzalez is the lockdown corner you think your favorite corner is. Yeah, he was that good. And I said it earlier this year. I said he's good enough to get the 30 plus million. But I think the Patriots would be concerned about durability. He's a guy who missed almost his entire rookie year in 23, played 4 games, has had injuries every year, missed the first couple of games of this season, but he's out there enough. And when he is, there's not 3 cornerbacks in the league better than this guy. There's just not. Great Bill Belichick draft pick on the way out in 2023. First rounder, kind of midway through it. I want to say he was like 17th pick in the draft. That's a steal. And his rookie contract is an absolute bargain. That's why, a lot of people talk about Drake Maye's rookie contract, but Christian Gonzalez being on one too could have been a huge upside for the Patriots, a huge advantage, I think, for the Patriots this season in getting to the Super Bowl, was that unequivocally your 2 best players on the team were on rookie contracts and you weren't paying a big money left tackle. That's kind of a downside of like, hey, of the argument of the Patriots will be back. I do think the Patriots will be back. I want to talk about that later on in the show. But Christian Gonzalez, 32 million might not be enough. that might be a bargain with the way he was playing. He was absolutely lights out. It's great to see, and it's probably the only bright spot I took from this game, this drubbing in Super Bowl 60. But if you found anything positive, let me know. But if you just want to vent about it, I get that too. Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Of course, we come at you live on YouTube every weekday. Well, 3 days a week now, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. It is your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio. It's right here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. When we come back, Mike Debate of Sports Illustrated, our Monday afternoon guest every week, is going to help us here. Okay, we're going to postmortem this thing, but he is also going to talk about what is good for the Patriots in the future. Where do they go from here after an embarrassing Super Bowl loss? That's next on the Wicked Boston Show.
Blackmore Bar and Kitchen, located in Charlestown, is the perfect spot for a bite and drink before a Bruins or Celtics game at TD Garden. Blackmore Bar and Kitchen offers 34 rotating beers, craft cocktails, and an eclectic menu of tavern favorites like burgers, sandwiches, and flatbreads. Join us for brunch every Saturday and Sunday, plus pre- and post-game garden events. Blackmore Bar and Kitchen. Check us out at blackmorebar.com.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
At Covers and All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. We deliver premier protection at affordable prices and express shipping. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Welcome to Market XLS, your all-in-one Excel solution for investors. Designed as an enterprise-grade platform, Market XLS caters to investment managers, secure and efficient investment management and research. Book your free demo.
What if you could clean clean? With bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes. No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops made clean, made to clean.
We're back here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart on 365 Sports. The episode that some of you have been waiting for a while. Some of you Chargers fans, or you Texans fans, you've been waiting for this episode. The Patriots lost the Super Bowl last night to the Seattle Seahawks. I know that might come as a surprise. I don't know how many people we have live on YouTube who haven't checked the score yet. But we are post-morteming the Patriots after that embarrassing loss to the Seattle Seahawks in Santa Clara in Super Bowl 60. And joining us, as he does every Monday, we have from Sports Illustrated, Mike Debate. Oh, Mike, this was a tough one. This was a tough one to go through last night. I just want to get your overall, like, what was the biggest surprise to you in this game last night as the Patriots nearly get shut out? They got shut out for 3 quarters. But what was the biggest surprise in this lopsided loss?
I shouldn't say the biggest surprise because I expected this to be a problem coming in, but I didn't think it would be as big of a problem as we saw, and that was the Patriots' inability to gain some sort of control or at least some sort of
Mike,
even
real quick.
ground.
I'm sorry. We're just getting a ton of static from your mic
Okay.
coming through. I'm going to bump you off for a second and see if maybe we could switch a setting there. We'll bring Mike back on in a second. It never happens. What we are starting to say there is like, no, like we weren't expected the Patriots to just go in and blow them out, right? Like the Patriots were reasonable underdogs in this one. We knew Seattle's defense was this kind of good. So it's not like a stunner that Seattle was that good defensively. Let's check back in with Mike here. Let's see if we got Mike a little situated here. Mike Debate of Sports Illustrated joining the show. So, Mike, let's revisit that question. The biggest surprise to you in that Patriots loss?
How am I coming in? First of all, is it
Great.
a little better now? Yeah.
Great.
See, it's all
Perfect.
fixed right now.
Here we go.
We kicked Darth Vader out of here, and we're all set. We're ready to move forward. Again, I think that I wouldn't say it's my biggest surprise because, again, I expected this to be a problem coming in, but I was really a little extra surprised that the New England Patriots were not able to gain at least some control or at least a degree of even keel when it came to the line of scrimmage. To me, that was the biggest surprise here. The Patriots were simply dominated by a 4-down defense that's relentless, that pressures you, wears you down, and they're surprisingly adept at being able to get after the quarterback when doing that as well. So the Patriots simply did not have an answer. By the time Drake Maye started to feel a little bit of comfort and maybe try to read the Seattle defense a little bit better, he ran out of time. And at that point, there was still a lot of frustration. You try to do things to extend plays, make things work, and you're going to run into difficulty. So unfortunately, just the Patriots were not very good at being able to stand up in the face of a very difficult opponent. And that surprised me a little bit because they've done that fairly well throughout the year. I expected maybe a little bit more out of them in that regard. But you got to tip your cap to Seattle, a tremendous game plan. They came in executing on defense the way I've seen few teams do it in the past. And they were dominant last night. And that's why they're Super Bowl champions.
And to your point in there, like, this is the first time the Patriots looked rattled. And they had other opportunities this year to look rattled, and they didn't. And this one might have just been a bridge too far with how dominant that Seahawks defense is, and they certainly came to play. Let's talk about Drake Maye. The numbers at the end of the day are going to be a little misleading. It was brutal. It was absolutely brutal, especially through 3 quarters. He turned the ball over 3 times. There's all kinds of things you could look at with Drake Maye's performance, right? Injured. How much of that played into it? We don't know. Offensive line, Will Campbell, he felt sped up a lot. Drake Maye did. What was the biggest factor for you in Drake's performance?
Well, I think you have to mention the fact that the injury obviously was hurting him maybe a little bit more than he let on. And he admitted to having, a shot in order to be able to weather through some of the pain. And if you're 100% healthy, you normally just don't go under the needle like that. So I think that it probably was. I'm not accusing the staff or anybody from the New England Patriots for fudging anything. I truly believe he was cleared. If it was a situation where it was painful, but it wasn't detrimental to his shoulder structure or anything of that nature. So I think he was cleared perfectly fine. It's a factor, but it can't be the deciding factor. The offensive line was a little bit more of a factor when you take a look at the fact that, Drake throughout these playoffs was sacked 21 times. He was under pressure last night on his dropbacks on 52.8% of them. That's a monster number, and you simply cannot have that. No quarterback can withstand that kind of pressure and still be able to perform against a defense that is as adept as the Seattle Seahawks. But you got to put some of the pressure on Drake as well. You got to put some of that on him. Decision making, not knowing necessarily when to throw the ball away, giving his opportunities to secure the football and not being able to do it. Those are fundamental things that he needs to learn. And there were times where he did look like a young second-year quarterback that's still learning the game, that is still coming into his own as a quarterback. And I think a lot of people, myself included, you get caught up in the hype and going into this game and how Drake had looked and just how well he played earlier this season, you almost get those Tom Brady vibes a little bit. Like, this kid's got a wisdom beyond his years. He sees things us mere mortals don't see. Not everyone is going to have the vision that Brady had in his second year and him being able to come in and make plays when he needed to. And look, the early version of Tom Brady wasn't perfect either. There were certain things that he needed to work on to hone into his craft. So I look for Drake this year to soul search. I think it's going to make him stronger. I think this is going to serve as fuel for the fire. He has the right attitude. He faced the music last night, talked to the media, was very forthcoming about his role in what happened on the field, but also that he's using this as an opportunity to teach not just himself, but his teammates to move forward and to move forward strongly. So anybody wondering if that broke Drake's spirit last night, I truly believe it did not. He's going to come back, and he's going to come back well. This is going to hurt for him, and it should, but he's going to use this as an opportunity to come back stronger. So I expect a solid, psyche for Drake Maye when he takes the field later this year in 2026.
Yeah, so looking at that, there's all these numbers, the NFL history of talking about these guys who get there as a young quarterback and they don't win and they don't get back. Obviously Dan Marino is the most famous one. Cam Newton is one to bring up in 2015. Donovan McNabb, who had played in some big games before getting to the Super Bowl, and then they don't get back. So what can Patriots fans kind of hang their hat on to say Drake and the Patriots are different?
Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, for all of the flack that Josh is catching for his play calling last night. And look, maybe some of it is deserved. I happen to think it was a little bit more on execution than on play calling last night. That was the reason why New England did not execute the way they should have. But Josh is someone that has been here before. He's seen quarterbacks take drastic losses and being able to not only cultivate what they do well, but also use it as, once again, fuel for getting them better, for improving their performance on the field, for making sure that this feeling that Drake Maye and the Patriots are having right now, they don't feel again. So I think Josh is going to be instrumental in that, especially in the offensive line as well. I think he's going to be very intricately involved with Doug Marrone to ask the questions that need to be asked on that line and find out what the Patriots' future is for those guys, and make sure that Drake Maye has an adequate unit protecting him in front of him at all times next year, and that the guys that are charged with his protection, especially on the left side, are up for the challenge. And the other part of that is Mike Vrabel. I don't believe Mike is someone that is going to rest on his laurels. I don't believe he's going to be someone that is going to simply just fall in love with his own style and not be adaptable. This is a guy who absolutely is a student of the game, and he's going to use what happened last night, just like Drake Maye and the players will, to get better, to enhance his performance as a coach, make sure his team is more mentally and emotionally prepared than they were coming into this game against the Seattle Seahawks. All of these moments are teaching moments. They're a young group that's growing together, and if they can keep the core nucleus intact, they have a chance to be a perennial contender in the AFC.
Thinking of that offensive line. Wasn't a great night for him. It was not. Once again, and specifically looking on that left side of it, is there now, Mike, a discussion to be had in the facility about Will Campbell's position next year? Or do you think that is premature considering how he was in the regular season?
Well, is there a discussion to be had? Yeah, I don't think there's no question. I mean, they have to have the discussion. It has to be a part of what the Patriots are going to do into this year. Is Will Campbell the long-term solution at left tackle, or do you go back to the drawing board? Do you look at what's available in the draft? Do you kick him inside to guard, move Jared Wilson back into center, essentially telling Garrett Bradbury, it's been real, you did a tremendous job this year, and he's played amazingly. But do you now look at that and say, okay, well, we need a younger line, we need a place to put Jared, and that's how you're going to do it? Yeah, I think it's a conversation. But look, when it comes to Will Campbell, and I don't think there's really any way around this, the New England Patriots need to ask themselves and be very honest about this, whether or not they believe that a 22-year-old rookie who's just finished his rookie season, going into his second season, has given them everything he can give as a left tackle in the NFL. If they believe that that is the case and he's reached that ceiling in only 1 year, then yeah, they have not only an obligation to have a conversation, they have an obligation to address the position at as a whole. They need to look at Campbell and say, okay, well, you know what? Didn't quite work out where you were. We still think you're going to be one of our great offensive linemen, but you're going to do it at the guard position, not the tackle position, which, by the way, is not a position that Will's played. So in that regard, yes, that's the only way that I see them making that move. If they choose the former of my opinion and say, well, we still believe that there's a lot to bite onto. Prior to the knee injury in week 12 against the Cincinnati Bengals, Will was showing improvement each and every week. He was rating near the top in PFF's rankings in terms of pressures allowed and in terms of sacks allowed, and he was really doing a great job of protecting Drake Maye. Do we look at that guy and say that's the guy that we're going to get, not the one that was obviously a little bit hampered when it comes to movement, especially lateral movement, and that's the most important movement for an offensive lineman once he had the knee injury. If that's indeed the case, and they believe that the best is still yet to come for Will Campbell, I think after a postseason in which he struggled and in which injuries played a huge part in that struggle, is that going to be the lasting legacy? I think they're probably going to look at it and say, no, it's not. We're going to give him every opportunity to earn this job and go forward. But the one thing I will say is if they are going to hang their hat on Will Campbell, you have to make sure that you have a left tackle waiting in the wings, a veteran that can come in, whether it's Vidarian Lowe or not. And I think Vidarian played well this year. If they choose that as their backup option, then I don't have a problem with doing it. But you have to be very mindful that at some point you may have to make that switch. And if you do, the Patriots can't be afraid to do that. So to me, that's where we stand right now with Will. It's going to be an interesting offseason, and I think a lot of the moves they make early on, especially in free agency before they get to the draft, are really going to be telltale as to what they believe the future of Will Campbell's going to be. We start to hear offensive tackle names being bandied about throughout Patriots media while they're looking for options, free agent options. That could be a telltale sign one way or another. So, yeah, keep a sharp eye on that. But long story short, yeah, is it a conversation? Absolutely. They need to have one.
Definitely. And a lot of this, last question for you, because a lot of this is going to be revolving around Drake Maye, right? They see the runner-up to the MVP have a game like that in the Super Bowl. That's where the conversation goes. You just talked about a lot of the things, with the offensive line, with the injury, some things that he needs to pick up on. And it's fascinating to me to sit here, Mike, because 2 years ago, we were talking about how this kid has all the potential of a top 5 pick, but he is the biggest project of this quarterback draft. That's what everyone was saying. Like, it's raw. Like, it is going to take some time here. And here he is, year 2, playing in the Super Bowl. And I know you haven't had a chance to really go through all the film yet as we talked to you on Monday afternoon, but based on what we saw in this postseason run, what do you think the biggest thing is that Drake Maye needs to work on going into the 26th season?
I would say fundamentals, get back to the basics, make sure that everything that you've learned under Josh McDaniels this year, and even some of the lessons that he learned from Alex Van Pelt in his rookie season, continue to carry over into year 3. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a full season under your belt as the starter. The first year that he came in, knew he was going to be backing up Jacoby Brissett. No one was sure when that move was going to be made. A lot of people, myself included, during training camp started to see what Drake could do and thought he deserved a shot to get the starting job right out of the gate. That didn't happen. But when you look at this season, he had a full season now entrenched as the starter. No one in that room, neither Joshua Dobbs or Tommy DeVito, was challenging him for the starting role. This is Drake's team. And it's going to continue to be Drake's team, regardless of how he played last night. This is still his team. He's still the leader, and he's going to be someone that will lead this team, I believe, to much brighter future in the not so distant future. But he's got to focus on what he does well. He needs to make sure that he keeps the element of rolling out, making sure that he can use his legs to create plays, go off script, never lose that type of instinct that really has made him the quarterback that he is today. But at the same time, you also need greater temperance. You also need to curb yourself. And he's got to find a way to be able to play through some very, very difficult pressure. Drake Maye looked very mortal this year when you put him up against pressurized situations. It took him a little while to adjust. He's going to have to learn to adjust quicker, and he's going to have to learn to adjust a little bit more completely in order for him to really grow into his greatness. But there's still so much that you can hang your hat on with him great arm strength, excellent field vision, one of the best scrambling quarterbacks in the league, if not the best scrambling quarterback in the league. So he's got a lot of fundamentals that I think he's going to carry with him, but he's got to work on those basics in order to make sure that he's well equipped for the mental and emotional game as well as the physical game. He does that, and he'll remain in the league's elite for a number of years.
In a dark day here in New England, Mike Debate gives us a beam of light here on what the Patriots can hang their hat on in the future. It's patriotsonsi.com. Mike has got stuff cooking all the time, but specifically some postmortems this week. Mike, really appreciate you taking the time as always.
Anytime, Cam. My honor, my pleasure to join you always, and hopefully we'll continue. Whenever the schedule, will allow. A lot of draft content coming, free agency, and of course, we're going to break down this 2025 season on New England Patriots on SI every which way but loose. So, keep a sharp eye out for that in my written work and the work of all of our great writers over at New England Patriots on SI.
Can't wait for it. And certainly the big names are already starting to fly around. So we will have Mike Debate from Sports Illustrated. I mean, he's going to be here on the Wicked Boston show. We're going to be talking about it all off season long because now the Patriots, top of the news cycle again here in Boston. Didn't take very long, did it, to get back at the top. But hey, guys, let me know what you think. What went wrong in this game? What are you confident about in Drake Maye in the future? Because a lot of people are down on him today that weren't 2 days ago. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you 3 times a week, live on YouTube, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and then available wherever you get those podcasts as well. It is your lunchtime alternative to Boston Sports Talk Radio right here on the Wicked Boston Show. When we come back, we're going to take a deeper look at Will Campbell, who to me is the story of the Super Bowl, even more so than Drake Maye on the Patriots side. Is it time for him to move to guard like we all thought before the draft? Well, there was one player in the game last night that could be the inspiration for him to do just that. That's coming up next on the Wicked Boston Show.
Blackmore Bar and Kitchen, located in Charlestown, is the perfect spot for a bite and drink before a Bruins or Celtics game at TD Garden. Blackmore Bar and Kitchen offers 34 rotating beers, craft cocktails, and an eclectic menu of tavern favorites like burgers, sandwiches, and flatbreads. Join us for brunch every Saturday and Sunday, plus pre- and post-game garden events. Blackmore Bar and Kitchen. Check us out at blackmorebar.com.
Dive into adventure with scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com.
It's the Restore Clarity Focus Patch, my little secret weapon for staying sharp, focused, and on task. Each box comes with simple instructions inside, so you always know exactly how to apply it. Each patch lasts for 3 days. I love that I can wear it all day.
This is what $500,000 in a duffel bag looks like. Actually not real. That's because it's actually prop money. It looks realistic from a distance, but up close you can see it says for motion picture purposes. Visit propmoney.com today to get your money seen or money shot right with Prop Money Inc.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Golf Partner.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
Experience with the Bosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again.
BosleyMD.com.
Back here on the Wicked Boston Show, 365 Sports, Camp Stuart. We're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday now. 1 p.m. Eastern time, live on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. The day after the Patriots lose Super Bowl 60. Oh, man. Boy, do I miss the days when the Patriots would lose the Super Bowl and I didn't have to talk about it all week. I was thinking this is the first one that I'm not going to be able to just completely wipe clean from my memory. I could barely tell you anything about the other 3 Super Bowls. And this is what I do for a living, man. Like the other 3 that they lost in my lifetime, couldn't tell you. Blocked them out. Never to be heard from again. Well, this is not the case this time. And Mike Debate gave us a great breakdown on kind of the things that went wrong on there. So if you missed that, check that out on our YouTube page here or wherever you get your podcasts as well. You can find us there. I do want to talk about Will Campbell because to me, the story of Super Bowl 60 from the Patriots side wasn't Drake Maye, but rather Will Campbell. Okay. And not that Drake Maye was good. There was plenty of things that went into his performance not being good at all, quite frankly. But Will Campbell was a big reason why Drake Maye was on the turf so much. And this is not a problem just in the Super Bowl. It was a problem all postseason long, and the Patriots did not fix it. And Will Campbell did not fix it. And now his name is going to be dragged through the mud quite a bit from now until possibly this time next year. Like there's going to be a lot of people with the memes throwing shade at Will Campbell for the next at least 12 months. I mean, it could be longer. It could be his whole career at this rate, even if he becomes a pretty solid offensive lineman, which he was. He was not just a solid guy. He was a good tackle for most of this season. Not great. Obviously did not have a good game at all against Myles Garrett. Gave up a couple of sacks to Myles Garrett, who didn't this year. But that MCL sprain comes in December, and he's not quite the same player after that. And it brings back all these questions that we had about Will Campbell before he was selected number 4 overall in the draft last year. During the season, we kind of mocked the fact that we asked these questions, but I did it a bunch on this show. Like, the whole arm length thing, that's not just a Felger and Maz powder keg to get people pissed off and get calls into the radio. Like, that is a real thing. Like, the stats are real about Pro Bowl selections for tackles whose arms are less than 33 inches. 33 and a third, I think, is what Campbell is at. So under 34 inches. All that stuff is real, man. And Will Campbell showed you why that's real in the playoffs. He got beat with speed, and he most importantly got beat with power a lot, man. He got overwhelmed a ton in this postseason, and specifically in the Super Bowl. He had a historic Super Bowl performance. Not in the way that you want to be historic. According to Next Gen Stats, he allowed 14 pressures. 14 quarterback pressures. That's the most in a game this season. It's the most in a playoff game since 2018. It's the most ever in a Super Bowl, and it's tied for the most ever in a playoff game. Full stop. And again, this was not just Sunday night. It was the whole postseason. 29 pressures allowed in this playoffs, the most ever in a single postseason for a tackle. Again, that's Next Gen Stats. That's what Will Campbell gave you. You can say on the one hand that he did get hurt in December, and that probably is a factor. But you can also say on the other hand, as a rookie, he was matched up against 4 of the top 5 defenses in the league, and he wilted big time. And that was obviously a huge part of the game in the Super Bowl. Drake Maye was pressured almost half the time. Nearly 50% of his dropbacks, he was pressured. And yet, the Seahawks blitzed about 20% of the game. They were rushing 4 all night, and they were getting to him. And getting to him quickly. And so, you thought a couple of weeks ago, you had franchise quarterback, franchise cornerback, head coach, and franchise left tackle. Now one of those is a question mark. And it's not Drake Maye. Okay? No matter what some people on Twitter want you to think today, no matter what some people on ESPN will say today, Drake Maye is not the question mark. Mike Vrabel's not the question mark. Christian Gonzalez is not the question mark. Will Campbell is the question mark. And I know he's a kid. I know he's a rookie. But he flat out got his ass kicked in this game. And it sounds like he was the only Patriot that didn't talk to the media. Sorry, kid. You're in the pros now. We need to hear those silky smooth Monroe pipes of yours after you get your ass kicked in the Super Bowl. That's how this works. You're not the local kid playing at LSU. This is the big time. And I know those LSU fans are crazy, so there's really no excuse after that to not talk to the media. Meanwhile, Drake Maye, your leader, the guy who you're supposed to be protecting, that team's leader, is sitting there taking every question, fighting through tears to answer every question because he's the leader of the team, and that is what you do. You are a professional. I know it's a tough moment. It's probably the toughest moment of the kid's life, Will Campbell. I know he's 22. But you got to talk to the media after that if you're going to put on a professional football uniform and get professional football money. It doesn't always go your way in the Super Bowl. But you have to face the music. The worst thing you could do after that game is not face the music. The only thing that makes it worse is by not answering questions. Instead, he chose to not answer questions, and it made it worse. And I got to say, the discussion needs to happen. Right? The discussion needs to happen here on whether Will Campbell can be your franchise left tackle. We just talked to Mike Debate a few minutes ago on the show. We'll have the segment up if you missed it. He said they need to evaluate whether they've gotten the most they can out of Will Campbell at the left tackle position. If they say, hey, we saw 20 games of him, 16, I think he missed 4, 16. If that is the most we can get out of this kid and we've hit his ceiling at left tackle, then we need to make the change and we need to make it now and get another left tackle on a rookie contract. But I tell you what, if they're thinking about making the move to guard, which a lot of people thought he would have to do at the beginning of this season, there was inspiration out there in the Super Bowl that he could look to. And it will make Patriots fans infuriated. But if you're going to make this move with Will Campbell and you think, I don't know if this is going to be a success or not, look no further than the other sideline. How about you meet Gray Zabel here for the Seattle Seahawks? He's picked in the first round of the 2025 NFL draft, much like Will Campbell was. He wasn't sitting up there saying he's going to fight and die for the guys and not answer questions after the Super Bowl. But he was a first-round pick in 25. He's taken 18th overall. An NDSU Bison where he was a tackle. He was a very successful tackle in college. And then he gets to the NFL draft, and they draft him as a guard. You want to know why? His arms are even shorter than Will Campbell's. 32 inches. And they said, you know what? That's just not, there's a reason why we have these measurables. And that's not good enough. He's going to be a guard for us. They spent a first-round pick on him, and he had a pretty good game last night. And the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. In small part, because they moved a tackle to guard. It's doable. You could be successful. Ask, Logan Mankins, guy who should be in the Hall of Fame as a guard. So you need not look much further, man, than Gray Zabel on the other sideline. And I know Will Campbell did have a decent year. He did. Good year. But I think we saw that I'm not trying to pin his whole career on how he did in the Super Bowl, because I'm not doing that to Drake Maye. And I think you can get pretty far if that's how you play in your first Super Bowl for either of these guys, even though they weren't very good. But anytime the other team had a threat in the pass rush, Will Campbell couldn't handle it. He couldn't do it. And the Patriots could not move the ball in huge part due to that offensive line. So I ate my words about Will Campbell during the regular season. I might need to spit them back out. I was really, really concerned about drafting this kid with a top 5 pick. And I think he can be a damn good guard in this league. I think he can. Then you would have wasted. You would have used a top 5 pick on a guard when clearly you could have got a good one at 18 like Seattle did. But to me, much more than Drake Maye, this is the biggest question going into the offseason based on what we saw in the Super Bowl. Can Will Campbell be your franchise left tackle? That is a question that is very much up in the air at this point. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's completely free, and it helps you get connected with the only Boston sports talk show in this city that is by the fans, for the fans, without any of the BS that comes with Boston Sports Talk Radio. It's your lunchtime alternative right here on the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart. Thank you to Mike Debate. Thank you to Zach Burke, who did a lot to keep us on the air last week as I was running around Radio Row. Thank you to you guys for tuning in. I know it was a tough listen for some of you. Tough listen for some of you because you don't like me. Tough listen for some of you because the Patriots just lost the Super Bowl in embarrassing fashion. But you can keep up to date with all that the Patriots are doing right here. We actually have an interesting guest coming on Wednesday. We're going to talk about some Max Crosby stuff and whether that is a realistic target for the Patriots and what's going on in that saga out in Vegas. And then, knock on wood, I am efforting to get, I'm about one confirmation away from getting the biggest guest this show has ever seen at the end of this week. So can't wait for that. So tune in here on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts as well. We'll get into some more Boston sports teams we've been all Patriots for a couple of weeks now, but the Red Sox are making deals. We're going to have to talk about them at some point. And the Celtics are still shocking everybody. The Bruins are off for a couple of weeks. But anyway, you'll find it all right here on the Wicked Boston Show. We will see you on Wednesday for another edition of the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGOAAALUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.